So I'm going to import the recent version of the iGRID pack where we've added the iGRID Momo tool, a momentum tool. So we'll go Tools, then we go Import, and we'll go Ninja Script Add-on. We'll click on that. So on my end, I'm using source code. I click on that, I hit Open, and it's critical that I say yes, 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 because I'm overwriting with the updates, the prior stuff. Some generic items, I just click yes. We always have the latest and greatest common generic items, and boom. Now what I'm going to go do, anytime I import something, I'm going to do a close and restart at NT8. I'll go do that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's go into indicators. We'll go into our iGRID pack folder, subfolder. I will go into iGRID Momo and hit add. And before I even play around with settings other than turning off price markers, I'll just go ahead and hit OK and let that baby load up. Now the indicator needs to be adjusted and optimized per instrument and time frame. So I'll go do a little bit of that real quick, and then I'll have it set. Then I'm going to make a template and I'll copy that over to this chart. Actually, what the heck, let's do a little bit of playing around with this iGRID Momo. You have two areas or axis of adjustability. One is the period. I'll kick that up to about 11. I'm going to move the sensitivity to about a 0.3. And let's get this out of the way and show you how that desensitizes the indicator or makes it less responsive to price. The setting I have right now, the indicator is very, very, very responsive to price. Okay, so I look and I see that here's my upper threshold and my lower threshold. For the most part, I'm in a downtrend. I had one little kickback right there, and I did have a signal, meaning, hey, we're getting a little bit more momentum. We're getting a burst in momentum. Anything between this zone is kind of what I would call very low momentum, not directional. I mean, you're not getting a burst or a price movement, and so on. So anyhow, right after this momentum pop and roll over and cross back below the zero line, that was right after we did get a bearish signal on the iGRID bands. We did get a positive signal here. We did get a little pop in momentum, at least for this particular setting. Not necessarily that this setting is the best for this instrument and time frame, but I just wanted to show you that you can get in here and adjust the indicator. So you can easily go in and adjust it. Now I can lag it or make it even more responsive. I could go to something like a 15 and a 0.5. And you'll see it'll continue to make the indicator less and less responsive. Also, we do have the ability in the indicator, these diamonds are anytime we're inside the zone and then we get a bar that prints above it or below. I can go in there and say how many bars between signals, so that I'm only kind of catching the bigger swings. So I might go change that to like 30 bars. And you can see it clears out more of the diamonds. Like if I get a diamond right here, meaning I'm getting a bit of a pulse of momentum, it won't allow another signal for at least 30 bars, 30 bars of price and vertical bars of the indicator. So still, to me, this indicator for this application is a bit sensitive. So let me go up to a 19, and we'll go to a 0.7. And I just want to show you that, you know, there's a lot of adjustability in the indicator overall. And let's go up to like a 33 and a 0.9. Okay, and I'm going to go to a setting where this entire move, I'm basically seeing downside momentum. And this entire move, even though it was going up and there's some slap downs that the indicator is kind of detecting, I'm going to lag it till I don't even see those anymore. So we'll go here to a 1.1. Okay, getting close. We'll go to a 1.2. So the reason I'm doing this, I want to show you how granular the adjustability is. It's very much like fine tuning. You can really, really fine tune this overall indicator. And eventually a person can set it up so, it's giving you more of a bullish bias look or a bearish bias look. So, if you get a signal on the iGRID bands, if you get a signal and at the time you're in bearish bias, that's a trade you could take. If you get a long trade and you're in bearish bias, doesn't mean you should ignore it, but maybe you take a long trade if you're tested or just swept some key level. Just like if I'm in a bullish bias, I definitely want to be taking long signals during that period. So the momentum tool has a lot of granularity. It has a lot of fine-tuning capabilities. So it has both micro and macro tuning capabilities. And this is just one of two Momo tools. So this is the Momo tool that we have now available in the iGRID pack number 1. I have another Momo tool that's really graphically intensive for NT8. That I'm going to add to the iGRID pack 2 that we're already having works to get deployed into next week. So another thing I want to talk to you about is what I've been mentioning. I have 2 sets of bands, dual bands indicators. One has what I call fractional recalculation. So those of you that were familiar with what was called TMA bands from the past, this has less than 1/7 the recalculation rate of an old school TMA type indicator. These are adaptive price bands, so they're not TMA. It looks like a TMA, but the math used and the way it plots is different, and how it adjusts and how it's responsive to price. And these are the bands that I use on my FX trading for institutional side stuff, and I absolutely love them. But I'm also, since I built a new algo system in the past, those were non-recalculating bands. They're fixed plot. They have no code in them whatsoever that would allow an indicator to recalculate. I have a newer version of those. That's also going to be added into iGRID Pack 1. So that's the last thing. Now that we got the Momo tool in, the last thing we're going to put in the iGRID Pack 1 is the second set of bands. So that's already being worked on over the weekend to wrap up all the work in the iGRID Pack 1. Then next week I'm into iGRID Pack 2, where I'm going to have a range of additional indicators and items coming out. So anybody that comes in now on the special offer that gets iGRID Pack 1, you'll keep getting everything we put out for NT8 in any of these iGRID packs, 1, 2, and if we decide to do a pack 3 down the road. But I already have enough goodies that'll be packed in here to iGRID Pack 1, which has a lot of stuff already. We have the grid bars, custom bar type. We have the iGRID alerts, fantastic indicator, the bands. We have an iGRID cloud indicator I've talked about before. We have the Momo now and the iGRID step indicator. We're going to have a second set of bands called something slightly different, and that will complete iGRID Pack 1. The next week, iGRID Pack 2 will get deployed and has a whole bunch of unique stuff in there. The big thing that's going in iGRID Pack 2 is a very graphically intensive momentum indicator that I want added to NT8. that is really, really strong. And it's kind of has different way of looking at price than this iGRID Momo does. So anyhow, yeah, onward and upward. We keep adding stuff. Oh, what I wanted to cover, a lot of people like, oh, does it recalculate? Well, yeah, it does fractionally. It's very minimal. So let's go take a look at this thing running on, let's say, like a 30-second chart. Let's do like a 15-second chart so you can see what the recalculation rate is and how extremely low it is. So the recalculation on this one is so minimal, I don't even care. I can sit there and hand trade this all day long off the signals. So let's just go look at an example of it running live. And I went through the template on this chart real quick. Let me move the end of this in alignment with the control center. And there we go. So now I'm going to go and fire up, and we'll get some historical data to use for replay, and I'll run a chart with 15-second data just so you can see, even on a really, really low time frame, how fractionally low the recalculation rate is. So let's go do that next. So we're on a 15-second chart, which no way in hell would I ever trade a 15-second chart. I do not at all have the bands optimized to this time frame. I just slapped up a 15-second chart, threw on a template of my typical settings, and there you are. There she is, live before your eyeballs. And there's how much it is or is not recalculating. It's, like I said, it's fractional. The math comes out to about 1/7 of the recalculation rate of the old school. Everybody and their mother on every MT4 and MT5 platform used to have those old crappy TMA bands that were kind of junky until M. Laden put out, I think he put out non-recalculating versions at one point, and they were okay, but they were off a bit in how they were responsive to price. So I went in and built adaptive price bands. I found math that was workable to take bands and make them completely non-recalculating and fixed plot. So just for grins and giggles, let's draw a line kind of where the band was. Oh, sorry. When I have the drawing tools with this screencasting software, it freezes up the screen. So let me do it with NinjaTrader drawing tools. And remember, I'm running this like on a 30 times rate. But you can see it's not like we have some horrid, recalculation going on here. It's very, what I would say is, it's fractional. Now, this is just one set of bands, and I'll say that for about the 5 millionth time. I have completely non-recalculating version of bands, which I'd already built for New Algo System back, 2-3 years ago. And now I've shifted to the grid bar, so you can watch that a bit, see a different bar type. And as I was mentioning, those completely zero, no recalculation whatsoever New Algo bands, well, I've updated those with new endpoint smoothing. So I'm going to be adding that to the iGRID pack. So anyhow, just want to show you, we're moving things along with the iGRID pack. We're adding tools. And yeah, we got the first set of bands now. And the last thing we're adding to the iGRID pack over the weekend into maybe Monday is the second set of bands that do not recalculate. So there you have it. Just wanted to show what the bands look like when they're running at super fast speeds, so you can see how they do or do not recalculate. Now, these bands do recalculate fractionally, but the next set of bands do not recalculate at all in NT8, as you're watching live market data. So there you have it. If you have any questions at any time, info@gridalgo.com, and have a great weekend.